Retro Gamer, and we're at another review. This time, we're going to be reviewing the Spyro trilogy for the PlayStation 1, in celebration of the Reignited trilogy coming out. I don't have physical copies of them, except for Ripto's Rage. I have most of them on the PlayStation Store, but I still hope you guys enjoyed the review. So let's get on with it quickly. So basically, the story starts with, a bunch of big dragons making fun of Nasty Nork. And Nasty Nork's not too fond of that, so he freezes all the dragons and stuff. So the only one that wasn't freeze, though, was a little dragon named Spyro, and I guess that's where we get on to the story. So now in this game, as Spyro, your mission is to rescue all the dragons and, save the dragon realms. It's pretty up their story. And I guess I'll talk about some of the gameplay. I really enjoy the gameplay. It's pretty good. I think they got a lot of good sections, very fluid gameplay for a PS1 game. Really good charging physics, flame breath, and a lot of awesome stuff, cool levels. I like the roll move, Music's awesome. And that goes for all three of the games. The music's great, I don't know what else bad I could really say about it. The only negative I really have with the game is sometimes some of the levels can be pretty annoying. But really, it's a pretty awesome game, And I have to give it props, It's got a large variety of levels, and it's got a lot of good stuff. And basically, you collect gems in this game, and then there's a fairy that saves your game and stuff, and you got all that. Wide variety of hub worlds, because there's the peacekeepers, there's artisans. I don't remember all the worlds, but they got a lot of worlds. A lot of hub worlds, a lot of special, different variety areas. The dragons, though, they're not very different. A lot of them just say, "Thank you for releasing me," and that's it. Which, whatever. I could deal with that. But it doesn't have that big of a variety. There's also the flight levels, which are basically they're timed sections where Spyro has to fly and break stuff. Not really much else to talk about that. It's okay, but it's nothing that great to talk about. And that's really about it. I mean, I guess I could talk about the bosses. The bosses aren't really that great. They're just bosses. They're not hard at all or anything. Especially Nasty Nork. Nasty Nork was a really bad boss. And I guess that's about it. The original Spyro the Dragon for the PlayStation 1 gets a 7 out of 10. Not that bad of a game. It's got some flaws, though. Let's move on to Ripto's Rage now. So, Ripto's Rage begins with basically Spyro, being bored after defeating Nasty Nork. So, they want to go on a vacation to Dragon Shores. Although, when they go through the portal to Dragon Shores, there's a bit of a malfunction. Or, not a malfunction, but somebody tried to teleport them to a place called Avalar. And the people that did was Allure the Fawn, Hunter the Cheetah, and a professor guy. When they do send him in, they find out, he finds out that they sent him there to help them because they got a problem with this evil guy named Ripto who has been, tormenting their world, and his only nemesis or enemy that could stop him is a dragon. So Ripto comes in with his minions and his goons, and then gets all triggered, and a fairy shoots him, and that's when Spyro begins his adventure. So one thing that this game fixed that I really do admire about it is now you could swim. And you could swim really good. I think the swimming physics are awesome in this game. Probably the best swimming ever. I think it beats every other game. Yes, even Ratchet and Clank, it beats that a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell, but really great swimming physics with it. And they fixed the boss battles as well from Spyro 1. They got 3 bosses this time, not as much as the original Spyro, but they still got a good variety of bosses and stuff. And there's Gulp. There's Crush. He was the first one. And then there's Gulp. And then finally there's Ripto. They're all pretty good, actually. Pretty tough bosses to deal with, and, pretty good variety of enemies. Ripto is probably also the best villain in the Spyro series because I think at this point he's probably the main villain, actually. But he is definitely the best one. And again, just like Spyro 1, there's a wide variety of levels and areas to explore. This time you don't collect dragons, though, you collect orbs, which basically are what dragons were for, to leave the hub worlds and get everything. Also, you collect talisman, which you need to finish a world. The talisman only exists in the first 2 hub worlds. After the first 2 hub worlds, in the final hub world, it's just orbs. And basically you have to have an amount of orbs. And then, after you collect the orbs, you fight Ripto and stuff, and boom, ba-ding. You have to have more orbs to get to Dragon Shores, though, which basically is every orb. There's also a power-up where, it's like a super flame that shoots out. I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of power-ups in this game. That's a big new feature that this game added that Spyro 1 didn't have was... Spyro 1 did have Supercharge and some other, little minuscule ones, but Spyro 2 has, the Super Flame, the Super Bounce. Basically, every level, aside from the flight levels, has some sort of power-up booth or something, which, is pretty fun using some of them. The Spring one, the Fire one, a lot of them, and they got cutscenes before every level, which makes the levels seem kind of kooky and fun, and it's cool, I think it makes them look interesting and stuff. Also, the flight levels do return, speaking of which. The flight levels are about the same. They're not really any different. My opinion's still the same. They're okay. They're not terrible or great. They're just something, And, that's really about it. And again, the wide variety of characters and, enemies and, just in general, the wide variety of NPCs and stuff. There's also different minigames like hockey minigames and all that stuff that this game added. But that's really about it. I think this game did a lot of good. My score for Spyro Ripto's Rage is a 9 out of 10. I think that it did a lot of great and definitely improved over the first one. Pretty awesome game. The story of Spyro Year of the Dragon starts off with this random witch lady or whatever. I think it's a witch lady. Basically using these Rhinox, which are the enemies of this game, to steal the dragon eggs. And, of course, the big dragons aren't very happy, but the whole problem is that they have no way of, catching up with her because they're too big to get into the hole. Don't think dirty, guys. Alright, so they send Spyro and Hunter to go out and go in the hole and get the dragon eggs, and basically that's where the story starts. They have to find the sorceress. They have to find the sorceress and stuff, and I guess that's where we get to the gameplay. So Spyro Year of the Dragon is probably the best one out of the 3 because it improved a lot with what Spyro 2 did. But let me tell you guys some of the stuff that Spyro 3 did worse than Spyro 2. For instance, there's no cool cutscenes at the beginning where it shows all the NPCs or characters doing stuff. I thought that was kind of lame that they admitted that from this, but I'm sure they had some sort of time constraints. Sorry about that. I'm sure they had some sort of time constraints or something, and they just didn't have time to put it all in. So it is kind of understandable, but still a little worse there. Again, flight levels, they're not worse. They're exactly the same, just like the first game. That was the only bad I could think of, though. What else is there? I guess some of the extra characters can be pretty annoying. I guess you could say that's a thing. Some of the extra characters can definitely be a little bit annoying and, not fun to play with. But that's about it. They improved on a lot of stuff. They actually kind of improved a lot on the amount of levels. They have a larger amount of levels in this game. Instead of there being 3 hub worlds, there's 4 hub worlds. The villain's not as good, though. The sorceress, she's okay. She's a okay villain. But she's nowhere near as awesome as Ripto was, Ripto was just, awesome, Nasty Nork and the sorceress got none on that. But yeah, speaking of characters, let me talk about some of them. So there's Sheila the kangaroo, who basically jumps around and bounces and kicks, jumps really high. Sergeant Bird, who like flies kind of awkwardly and shoots rockets out. Then there's Bentley, who I think is probably the worst one. His wrestling minigames aren't too bad, but his first level is kind of stiff. And then the last character is Agent 9, who a lot of people say kind of inspired the gameplay of Ratchet and Clank, because a lot of the Agent 9 levels, from what I heard, tested the waters for that. So, it's good stuff. But yeah, basically, Spyro 3 did improve a lot. What else is there that they did? Oh, yeah, I know one. They didn't really improve. They kind of improved on the bosses slightly. I don't know. They got more bosses. That's one thing. I don't know if they're better or worse or the same, but they're okay. Aside from that, that's really all the differences I could really think of. Like, I've talked about the same points anyways. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. My score for Spyro Year of the Dragon is a 10 out of 10. I think it's a really good game, and while it does have some flaws, it doesn't really affect the score too bad, and I still think it's a really good game. Definitely a big improvement over the first and second one, so props to Spyro Year of the Dragon. I hope you guys enjoyed this little review that I did of the Spyro trilogy, and I'm out. Peace.